and start the meeting. It's Tuesday, March 12th, 2024. We're going to call the meeting of the Carson City School District Board of Trustees to order. And we're going to start off the meeting with adoption of the agenda. This is for action. Have a motion and a second. Do we have any board discussion? Seeing none, do we have any public comment on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 2 is the flag salute. Trustee Walt, could you lead us off? Thank you. Item 3 is the superintendent's report. This is information for information only. Superintendent Fueling.
Thank you, President Cassiopo. Good evening, trustees. Good evening, everyone here tonight. First, we have a couple recognitions. I believe I saw a dapper-looking Mr. Sakalarius back there somewhere with our HOSA kids from HOSA kiddos from Carson High School, future health professionals state winners. Mr. Sakalarius, would you like to come up?
For the record, Frank Sakalarius. Thank you, Mr. Fueling. Thank you, Board of Trustees, for letting us, allowing us to have a HOSA program. February 25th through 28th, our students went up to Sparks at the Nugget to compete in their annual state leadership conference. Our students, we brought 42 students and qualified 33 to the international competition. Some of the awards we received the Gold Medal Award, which is 100% for health science HOSA members, which means everybody in our program is a member of HOSA. We also received the Chapter of the Year Award, which for Kelly and I, that is the one that if all the awards we receive, that is the one that means the most to us. It's based on a number of things. Most of all, it's how involved our students are, how our students act and behave at the conference and with their professionalism and the things that they do. Some of the other highlights is Irene LeBlanc was our chapter president, was also our Western Region Vice President. She had to say goodbye to her office. She's only allowed one term. Her term was up this year. And I'll turn it over to Kelly at that point.
For the record, Kelly Gustafson, thank you for having us. As Frank said, he read my whole thing. This was mine that he stole. But we did qualify. We had 35 students of our 42 make it to the second round, which is really difficult to make to the second round. And then 33 of those students qualified either top 5 for their event, or for healthcare issues exam, it's top 25. And we swept the entire healthcare issues exam event. We took all 25 places from everyone. So I guess we'll have them come in and introduce themselves and tell you what event they did and what place, and go from there.
That sounds great. Thank you. Parents, if you want to get pictures of your kids at the podium, you're welcome to come behind us so you can get a picture other than the back of their head. So if that's something you want to do, you're welcome to. And students, when you come up, when it's your turn to talk, just state your name so we know who you are.
For the record, Neva Mello. I placed 3rd in cultural diversities and disparities.
Lucy Monk. I placed 4th in health informatics.
Anais Gallegos. I qualified in the healthcare issues exam.
Grady Kershaw. I also qualify for the healthcare issues exam.
So are you, oh, sorry, real quick. You're not going to get off quite that easy. We want to extend our congratulations to you and all your peers in HOSA. I won't go through the whole history, but my son was in HOSA and it was a great experience and I have fond memories on his behalf. So I just want to say congratulations to all of you. Are any of you seniors? Nobody? We have some seniors, I assume. Oh, and there's more coming. Okay. For the seniors, kind of curious what you're going to do after high school. And for the other students, what was your experience like? And, did you gain anything from it? And if so, what?
This is my first year going to HOSA State. I had a lot of fun, and I met a lot of new people, and there were different colleges as well. That was really neat to see the different career paths you could take in the health career field.
This was also my first year doing HOSA State, and I had a fun experience getting to know people and like looking at different colleges too.
This was also my first year going to HOSA State. And what I most enjoyed about it was getting to know what it was like to go to one of those things.
This is actually my second year going to HOSA State, and it was very similar to the first time. This last time I did qualify for round 2 in CPR first aid, but unfortunately not this time, but I qualified for the healthcare issues, so it's an improvement.
Great. Any questions for these four? Okay, we're gonna let you get up. Thank you very much again. Congratulations.
Hi, I'm Tara Barman, and I placed first in the healthcare issues exam and second in medical terminology.
Hello, my name is Ethan Linehan, and I qualified in the health issues exam.
My name is Ann Davis, and I placed first in home health aid and qualified in the healthcare issues exam.
My name is Irene LeBlanc. I placed first in the physical therapy event and qualified for the healthcare issues exam.
Next year, I plan to go to UNR. I'm just going to take a few basic classes. I'm still undecided between a pre-med track or a criminal justice track, so I'm going to take the basic classes and go from there.
I still have a couple more years left of high school, but then I plan on going into the medical field.
I am a junior, so this was my second year going to HOSA State, and I plan to go somewhere in the medical field in college too.
I'm a senior, so I haven't found out where I'm going to college yet next year, but I know that I want to study kinesiology while also taking my prerequisites to go to med school and be a pediatric ER doctor. So
hopefully you'll all come back here to Carson.
Yeah, by then Rich is going to need you.
I need him now.
No, congratulations.
thank you.
I'm going to need your help too, I'm sure.
Hi, I'm Sydney Ingram, and I placed 5th in CPR and first aid.
Hi, my name is Genoa Escalante, and I placed 5th with Sydney in CPR first aid, and I qualified in the healthcare issues exam.
I'm Vivi Mello, and I qualified in the healthcare issues exam.
I'm Summer Moore, and I qualified in the healthcare issues exam.
And just plans for next year?
I'm still a junior, but in college, I plan to go into the medical field.
I'm a junior too, but in college, my plan is to go in pre-med, and hopefully pediatrics is my hope.
I'll be a junior next year, but I'd like to go to college and major in public health.
I I will be a junior next year, and I am planning on going to college for oncology.
Great. Well, congratulations, and hopefully you'll all keep staying with HOSA. I think it's a great opportunity, and you'll learn quite a bit. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Genius De Serrano, and I qualified for Healthcare's Issues exam.
I'm Kate Lucas, and I placed first in forensic science.
I'm Kenley Fassett. I placed first in forensics and qualified in the healthcare issues exam.
My name is Anna Mariquin, and I placed 5th in extemporaneous writing, and I also qualified for healthcare issues exam.
And same question, plans for next year? If next year is in college, that's okay. What are you gonna do in high school?
Next year, I'm going to be a junior, and I plan to go to college to take 2 years at WNC and 2 years at UNR to study Bachelor's of Science.
I'll be attending UNR for public health so I can go into pre-nursing.
I'll be a senior. I plan on continuing my path in HOSA and then heading off to UNR to become an oral surgeon.
I plan on continuing with our new pathway medical assistant and continue that at the University of Reno.
Could I ask one of you a question? So many of you have said you qualify for the healthcare's issue exam. Could you explain what that is? Do you have to qualify to take that, or did your score put you in a certain bracket?
The healthcare issues exam, anybody in our HOSA chapter is able to take it. The exam covers a lot of topics from global health issues. It covers mortality, famous athletes or celebrities that have gotten an illness. It also covers what are some basic information about flu and the cold that we see around here.
Well, thank you very much. Again, congratulations to you as well. You can tell we struggled at this this year, huh? We only had a couple students apparently. Yeah, just squeaked by.
My name is Mariana Alonso, and I qualified for ILC in the healthcare issues exam.
Hi, my name is Omar Martinez, and I placed third in CPR first aid.
My name is Roberto Juarez Razo, and I got third place in CPR first aid.
Hello, I'm Dylan Cooley. I placed in the healthcare issues exam and qualified for ILC.
And same question, what are your plans for next year or for after high school?
Next year, I will be a senior in high school, and I plan on continuing my pathway in HOSA in taking the medical assisting class. And after that, I will be attending UNR to study to become a pediatrician.
Next year, I just plan on, taking HOSA again. And next year I'll be a senior, and I just plan on doing good, so I can go to WNC and then UNR.
Next year I'm gonna be a senior, and I'm currently in my first year of Jumpstart. So after I finish that senior year, I'm gonna go to UNR and hopefully go into the GI.
So this year I graduate. My plan is to enlist in the Navy as a medical personnel, so a corpsman, and then go from there.
Well, again, thank you to you four as well. Congratulations. So it's exciting to have so many students.
Hello, I'm Alexa Ailes, and I qualified for healthcare issues.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Dow, and I qualified for the healthcare issues exam.
Hi, I'm Anna Nelson. I qualified for the healthcare issues exam.
Hi, my name is Julissa Rodriguez, and I also qualified for the healthcare issues exam.
And future plans? Next year or thereafter?
Next year I'll be.
Once it turns green, you're good.
Okay, I'm gonna hit again. There we go. Next year I'll be a junior and enrolled in the Jumpstart program. So we'll see where that takes me and then go from there.
Next year, I'm a junior, and I plan to continue my pathway in HOSA.
Next year, I'll be a junior and I plan to continue my pathway in HOSA.
I already got admitted to UNR, so I just hope to pursue my career in becoming a nurse practitioner or an OBGYN.
Very good. So thank you again. We appreciate it. Congratulations to you, and I think we have a few more. No, you're good. Don't.
Hi, my name is Kaylee Luna, and I got third place in healthcare issues exam.
Hi, my name is Janet Rodriguez, and I got fourth place in home health aid and also qualified for home health issues.
My name is Alicia Cortez, and I qualified with the healthcare issues exam.
And what are your plans next year and after high school?
I got accepted to UNR, and I will be studying in the medical field, and I want to be a pediatric nurse.
I plan to attend the military and study psychology.
I got admitted into UNR, and I plan on studying nursing.
Yeah, Laurel. No, go ahead.
I just want to make a comment as you all very accomplished students came through, and no discredit to the 5 young men that I saw, but there's a small army of young women that just totally impressed me, that you are smart and strong and looking forward to these careers in the medical field. You young men too. But, you know, this week was International Women's Week, and to think that not too long ago women didn't pursue these professions and weren't even admitted into them. And I'm so proud of you, and all of you, there is a bright future and a great need for medical professionals. So thank you for your desire and your aptitude.
Rich.
Yeah, just congratulations to the whole program and all these students here. And I look out at you guys, and I'm very proud that you are Carson High School students. And I look out and I see a bunch of doctors and other medical professionals, and I just want to thank you for all the effort you're putting into your studies and the program. Thank you very much. Looking forward to having one of you take care of me.
Yeah, Mike, go ahead.
You know, today, Trustee Clapham and I had the honor of putting a video together for a former Carson High student who is getting matched with a residency program for medical school. And so it wasn't too long ago that she was up here presenting this. So we're really proud of you, Kelly and Frank. It's so nice that every year we have such a big, successful group of students. So that speaks to the quality of your work. And to the students, I hope you don't let Frank give you too hard of a time next year. He could be a little bit of a pain.
So I also want to congratulate you all, and I am just so pleased to see that our future leaders is so diversified. So thank you all for stepping up to the plate and challenging yourselves, because it's obvious that you all can make it. And so thank you for doing what you're doing, and keep up the good work.
And I'll just say, you young men, there is nothing wrong with being surrounded by intelligent young women. I want to congratulate all of you. You are really impressive. I think it was 2013 and 14 is when my son went through the program, and Frank was his mentor. and he's since become a PA, a physician's assistant, and he looks back and still says how much he's learned through HOSA and all these programs. So take advantage of all you can learn and all these competitions and whatnot, because you just don't know where things are going to take you, but this is a great direction you're on. So congratulations and thanks for coming in. Yeah, if everybody just stands right in front of us, they're gonna take your picture for proof you came here. And parents and family members, we want to say congratulations to you too. You've done a great job with these students, so thank you very much. And Superintendent Fueling, the floor is still yours.
Okay. Rather impressive. Just incredible. Another impressive group we have with us this evening, the Eagle Valley Middle School, Nevada's first LEGO League champions, that will be headed to Houston, Texas, here with Mrs. Becky Ritter, one of their coaches. Looks like Mrs. Tucker. Is she here? Oh, there she is. There she is. And if I understand, you actually maybe have a PowerPoint as well to show something. Okay. Oh, it's on the laptop, just so you know. I can help you out with that. But if
Yeah, however you want to start off your presentation, the floor is yours.
Hello, we are the Metallic Eagles from Eagle Valley Middle School. We are a first LEGO League team, and I'd like to introduce you to our team. It includes myself, I'm Nicholas, this is Cassie, Alan, Edwin, Hunter, McKenna. We are led by Coach Tucker and Coach Ritter.
The first LEGO League is divided into 4 categories: robot design, robot game, innovation project, and core values. The goal is to be the most balanced team between all 4 categories.
The robot game is where we built a fully autonomous robot to complete missions and get us points in the robot game. And the core values is where we get scored on our sportsmanship.
For the robot design, we first sketched out the robot and its attachments. We ended up designing it as a mouse, named it Nezumi, which is Japanese for mouse. For the innovation projects, we found a problem, which was many people could not cook due to arthritis and other health conditions. So we found solutions to help them.
During our season, we went to the FLL qualifier where we got first place, in other words, the Champions Award. We did the same at the FLL State Championship. Our next step will be Houston, Texas. We will be the only team in Nevada representing Nevada in the World Festival.
These are some pictures of us this year.
So, oh, sorry, no, go ahead. I first of all, I wanted to say congratulations. When we went through and toured Eagle Valley and got to see you in progress, getting ready, if I remember correctly, I can't remember if you were still, you're basically either starting a new software program or working the kinks out of the one you had, and the robot was doing certain things but not responding the way you wanted it to yet. And I remember one of us asked something like, you're going to be ready for the competition, and one of you assured us, oh yeah, we'll be ready. And apparently you were. So congratulations. This is cool. I've been going to robotics competitions and different types of things for almost as long as I can remember. And it just gets more and more impressive every year. So congratulations. I think it's exciting. You get to go to Houston and compete some more. And I think you're going to represent the district and your school exceptionally well. So, I think a lot of times you go and do these things and it's fun, but you kind of get caught up in the moment of all the things you have to do. But make sure you stop to take a deep breath and enjoy where you are and what you're doing and realize how far along you've come. And, I anticipate you guys are going to do exceptionally well. So congratulations. Molly, then Rich.
So yes, congratulations. Very impressive. And to be the only team representing Nevada in Texas is a huge honor. So congratulations. I do have a question though. Do you compete with the same the same robotics that you competed with here? Do you take the same one to Texas? Okay.
No, just congratulations. And I don't know if this is proper or not, but are you still fundraising? So anybody out in the public who wants to donate can still do so. Okay, great.
They can do that through the office at Eagle Valley Middle School through Jamie, through the main office.
Well, congratulations again. Thank you.
We'd like to thank some of our recent sponsors, if
please.
we could. The Rotary Club Foundation has proposed that they could give us some help, as well as ClickBond in Carson City, Les Schwab in Carson City, and we have a few other private donors coming in. So that's been wonderful.
Are you going to have enough money to cover the trip?
We believe we do.
Great.
Congratulations. Dan, did you want to get a picture of them as well? Could we get, if you're finished with your presentation, we just have you line up kind of in the center along the front here, and Mr. Davis is going to get a picture of the teachers and the team. We'll get you a hat if you want. Nothing, sir. Yeah, again, congratulations. And parents, congratulations to you as well. And again, exceptional students, exceptional kids. And we really appreciate you taking time out of your evening to bring them here. And Mr. Conley, thank you for supporting these activities in your school. It's amazing. Superintendent Fueling.
Okay. Last couple things. The annual music events of the century, if that can be a thing. will be occurring this Thursday and next Thursday. We have Choir Palooza this Thursday, the 14th at 7 p.m. at Carson High School. And Bandorama next Thursday, the 21st at 7 p.m. at Carson High School. Special thanks to Christina Bourne for confirming times for me by text. Didn't want to get those wrong. April 19th is the daddy-daughter dance, father-daughter dance at Carson High School from 6 till 9. If you are interested in tickets for that, please check your Parent Square notifications. There's a link that went out that will help you make that happen. And lastly, we sent out, there was a request from Carson City offices to get family input on their master plan update that they are considering. So for all those families out there that are watching, if you want to give some input in terms of things that you would like to see for your kids and your families in the city, please check that out in Parent Square. There's a link for a flyer there with information about upcoming meetings. And that is all I have.
All right, well, thank you very much. That was exciting. We're going to move on to board reports, board member comments. This is for information only. And we're going to start off with announcements from Carson High School.
Good afternoon. I'm Alex Munoz, your school board representative.
Hello, I'm Paulina Perez, your other school board representative.
And before we get started with our report, we would like to invite you guys to a brunch with the board on March 22nd. It's an organized event. All of leadership will be there, and we really look forward to you guys being there if you guys can RSVP. We will be presenting our NASC goal packet for our Silver Star, which is a state recognition award that we plan on taking to our state conference this April.
Thank you.
If you guys have any questions as you're looking through it, please feel free to ask right now.
Nope, I think we self-explanatory, so we got it.
All
And
right.
I'm going to do my best to attend. I think this will be exciting.
Alrighty, thank you so much.
And
To start off with my report, I want to talk about sports for a little bit. Currently, baseball and softball are in full swing. You know, a lot of our coaches, are running around school right now. I want there to be a lot of attendance this year because I feel that the morale is needed right now, especially in times of passing, I think that our school really needs to get together right now, and if we could do our best to encourage students to come out right now would be very beneficial to Carson High School as a whole. And I know that Cheer is holding some clinics right now, so if any incoming freshmen want to attend, I know that Cheer is always looking for new girls to come on in. And girls soccer currently is hosting some not tryouts, but some open fields for any 8th graders interested in coming. And that is my report.
And then with student council, we're gonna be throwing a You Matter Week, which is another Shakespeare week, which is through March 25th through the 28th. And again, like Alex said, especially during these times of losses, and this week is really beneficial on stress management and anxiety management, and we're going to be throwing different activities throughout the week, including like making slime, aromatherapy, as well as yoga, to just really like get the school involved and just giving them an outlet to be able to deal with things, because especially for example, our freshmen, they're going through things, and being able to give them a space to really connect with each other and be able to just have a place to have an outlet. And that's it.
Great. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate the reports. Next, we're going to have representatives from Pioneer.
Good afternoon to everyone here tonight. I'm Maggie Uzel, student rep for Pioneer Academy. And here are Pioneer Academy's activities. Pioneer Panthers continue to positively influence the climate and culture. The semester, we have granted 58 positive referrals. The gentlemen of Pioneer honor National Women's Day by presenting bouquets of tulips to all the ladies and providing a nacho bar. We celebrate School Social Worker Week by honoring Danielle Lungman with positive apples of appreciation, a bag of fidget toys, and a customized sweatshirt. Project Discovery hit the slopes again on March 7th and work on setting goals and alongside skiing skills. 3 students earned their black bracelets, which mean they are now advanced skiers and can tackle black diamond runs. Our next trip will be on March 13th. The majority of Panther juniors have completed the ACT testing and are now members of the ACT Completers Club. Congratulations to Christian Steinkraus and Patty Bean as the 2023 to the 2024 Employees of the Year at Pioneer Academy. Our next Panther Painting Pizza and Punch, try saying that 5 times fast, is on Thursday, March 21st. All proceeds from this event will be donated to Eagle Valley Middle School Lego Robotics team to fund their up-and-coming trip to Houston. Thank you, and that concludes Pioneer Academy's activities and announcements.
Maggie, thank you very much. I've neglected to ask if Adina had any comments for Carson High, but do you have any comments or questions for either school? All right. We're going to move on to Nevada Association of School Board, NASB update.
Yeah, I just have a quick reminder of the training this weekend. It starts at 8 o'clock in the morning to 2. But I think there's going to have breakfast starting around 7:30 in the morning. And I believe there's going to be some legislators that have been invited that may be in attendance. So if everybody can get there maybe around 7:30 in the morning, if you want to meet and greet some legislators. And then everybody knows where it's at, the Sure Stay Plus. It's on Terminal Way there in Reno. So, and the only other thing that I really have is that the Professional Development Committee had a meeting and they recommended, and it was accepted, that the conference in December is going to be held at the GSR in Reno. And that's all I have for now.
Great, thanks, Rich. We're going to move on to board announcements, and we'll start with Trustee Crossman.
Sure. Thank you so much. For Fremont Elementary School, Dr. Ward would like me to let everyone know that tomorrow they are doing their Nevada Moves Day, and students can walk with school staff either from the post office on Roop Street, or they can do an extra mile if they meet at the corner of Salomon and 5th Street at 7:45 a.m. And I'm thinking they're meeting at the post office at 7:45 as well. But I'm guessing she'll still she'll have that out there. It wasn't totally clear in the information. And also students who ride the bus or who are dropped off by parents are able to participate in the event by walking laps at the school during and their field. And they recently went through a great presentation in every class through the PE classes with their Safe Routes to School director, Scott. And it was a great opportunity to highlight safety around for the students and awareness on all of Carson City streets for the students. She's also looking forward to meeting with the families during parent-teacher conferences next week on Thursday and Friday. And the PTA is having a meeting this upcoming Friday at 7:30 a.m. in their school library. They are looking for volunteers to make their fun run possible. That will occur later in May of this year. And also they are excited about seeing their students perform in Choir Palooza and Bandorama. So that concludes my report for Fremont.
Thank you. Trustee Varner.
Yeah, at Boardwalk Bray, Principal Raqueta wanted everyone to know they had a very successful reading week this last week. And she wants to thank all the community members and parents who came to read at the school to their classes. Also, she wanted to thank everyone who attended their reading night. It was very successful. And at Fritz Elementary, Principal Brown wanted to let everyone know that they are currently celebrating Reading Week this week. Wednesday's theme is Magic Fantasy, and students are asked to bring fantasy alive with their dress up day. Thursday is the magic of Harry Potter, and Friday is magic around the world. And that's my report for them. But before I leave, I would like to say that I had the opportunity to go to Fremont Elementary School and read to a couple fifth grade classes. And they were very entertaining. They were very well behaved. And I was a little bit nervous about reading to a fifth grade class because I've always read to first to third grade before, but they were well behaved and they didn't give me too hard a time. So it was a fun event.
Trustee Walt.
All right, starting with Carson High School. Carson High School cheer team will be holding Mr. Carson High here at the Community Center on March 22nd. Also tomorrow, sorry, they're here on Wednesday here in this room from 4:30 to 7. I encourage you to attend the Campo meeting in support for Lights for Lexi. On the agenda, they will be talking about related to the safety of surrounding sidewalks, and I think it's important that Campo gets the voice of those around the schools and the crosswalks. So I encourage you to attend that as well. As for Empire Elementary School, Mr. Tuttle says that tomorrow is Snacks and Stories at 7:30. All Empire families are welcome. They will have cookies, coffee, and hot chocolate. They would also like to thank Vice President Ramirez for being their guest speaker last month, and they welcome all board members to come and read at Empire Elementary School, and they would love to have you on the calendar. Just contact the main office. And then lastly, I'm excited to say that the Empire Elementary School 4th and 5th grade playground is moving forward, and so we hope to have that to the Board of Supervisors, or first Parks and Rec Board of Supervisors, then it will come forward to the board of the school board.
Great, thank you. Trustee Klopp.
Thank you. No report from Mark Twain tonight, but from Carson Middle School. Ms. Robinson wanted the public to know that they're in their last week of the third quarter at school right now. Grades will post this Friday, and report cards will come home with students on March 22nd. They have students participating in the Northern Zone Nevada Music Educators Association Choral Festival in Fallon on March 26th. Carson City School District Orchestra Festival will take place at Carson Middle School on March 25th. Their wrestling season is in full swing. Their 6th grade track and field begins March 18th, and 7th and 8th grade track and field begins April 15th. And she wants to encourage all students to participate in the athletic programs. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Walker.
Sealer Elementary School had a family night as part of their book week or reading week. They had a parent night at the book fair. They also combined it with a STEM night, and they had parent training on habits for homework for reading. So Ms. Zona's happy that everybody attended, and she said the event was wonderful.
Thank you. Trustee Ramirez.
So from Eagle Valley Middle School, from Dr. Conley, and thank you for joining us, Dr. Conley. He's in the audience. They're starting a $1 raffle ticket fundraiser for the Northern Nevada Children's Cancer Foundation. The winning ticket from each grade level gets to shave 1/3 of Mrs. Filocamo's head. She is a 7th grade English teacher who has a family member battling cancer. They will also have a $5 hoodie/hat fundraiser on March 25th to collect funds.
And then the book fair is on all week. Students can purchase book fair items before school, during school, and after school. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. And I don't have a report for Pioneer because it was already given, so Maggie, thank you. I just wanted to say, yeah, last week I attended Reading Week at Fremont Elementary and Borderwick Elementary School, and the students at both schools were great. They were receptive, and I think they enjoyed it. The schools did a nice job. And then at Borderwick, I attended the reading night, and that was, I'm not sure how that compared to other years, but there were so many people there. And it was fantastic. I walked in, there were people in the corridors and the hallways. They had guide dogs in one of the rooms, so of course people were there, you know, seeing them. And then they were playing bingo in the multi-purpose room, and that was full. So there were just, I didn't even bother counting, but it was a great turnout, I thought. So I just wanted to thank all the families for participating and supporting your students. You know, reading it's the key to everything. So we appreciate everybody's involvement. We're going to move on now to item 5, association reports. Do we have any? Okay. No association reports. We're going to move on to item 6, public comment. I know we didn't receive any online, so do we have any in-person public comment tonight? Seeing none, we are going to move on to item 7. So public comment, I'll officially close it. And then item 7, discussion and possible action to approve proposed material reviewed by the Family Life Advisory Committee during the 2023-2024 school year to be included in the Family Life curriculum for the Carson City School District. This is for possible action, and we have Cheryl Macy and Sheila Story. Thank you.
President Casiopo, members of the board, for the record, my name is Cheryl Macy, and I have here with me Sheila Story. The Family Life Advisory Committee has been very busy reviewing resources. Just some background, NRS states that school boards must appoint a committee to review family life materials, and that this committee shall advise the district concerning the content of and materials to be used in a course of instruction, and the recommended ages of the pupils to whom the course is offered. The final decision on these matters must be that of the Board of Trustees, which is why we are here tonight. Our committee generally meets monthly during the school year. They have been, like I said, very busy because the middle school health teachers have expressed a need for materials. So that has been the focus of what we have done for the last 4 months. We have a list of materials that we have shared with you. I have each of them spelled out in a slide on here, but all the information is also on the handout that was sent to you. I want to point out that there was one change, and that was on the first item, which is Am I Ready? There was an error. I had written that it was for grades 9 and up, but it was approved or recommended by the committee for grades 7 and up. I'm not sure if you want me to go through each item or if you have general questions.
I think if there's any highlights you want to point out, I mean, that's, of course, that's fine, but I think, you know, the board, if we want to start off with any questions. Matt, you had a question?
I do, thank you. So I just wanted to say I went through all of it, and I watched all the videos, and I read all the material, or reviewed it at least. I really like it. I think they do a great job. A couple questions that I have. Or I guess the first one I want to say is, I guess more of a request when I see the grade levels. I guess my request would be to really inform the health teachers, please make sure it's age appropriate. Like, I just have concerns. Like, I look at some of this stuff and I think the material is great, but when I see like 7th grade, my daughter's in 6th, and I think, holy cow, she's not ready for that. And I don't know if I'm sheltered or she's sheltered or both, but I just want to like highly encourage and recommend like the teachers really make sure it's age appropriate. The other thing that I had a question on, maybe a little bit of a concern, it wasn't bad. The video, or excuse me, the PowerPoint, and then the use your words on the second page. There was a video attached to that PowerPoint, and so I watched that. It's about 1:46. So a couple things. The video, it's a bit confusing, in my opinion. I actually asked a colleague or two to look at it, and also my wife, and they were also confused a little. And it kind of, the first 20 seconds kind of like opens up and talks about something that's not really pertinent. And then it goes into this consent, which I thought was really good. I thought the audio part of the consent was really good. But the visual part, I was trying to figure out what the cartoons were doing instead of listening to the audio part. And so it kind of confused me a little bit. And so I'm guessing if I'm confused, maybe the kids will be confused. And then it goes back into another last 24 seconds that's really not pertinent, kind of like the first 20 seconds. And so I don't know if that's something that we can edit and shrink, or if we can work around it, but it was just kind of confusing in my opinion. But I did, again, I like the audio part of it in those 60 seconds or whatever it was. I thought it was valuable. So just if you want to take a look at that or have them look at it again or whatever you want to do. But I think those were my only concerns, my only things that I thought I would bring up. But other than that, I thought it was great. And I also viewed the material that you have at the PDC, and I have no problems with abstinence whatsoever. So yeah, that's all I have.
Before I respond to your questions, you reminded me that the materials that I shared are the ones that come from the Carson City Health and Human Services. I never get that right. So to respond to your comments, Mr. Clapham, the video is a little bit confusing. What it does is it's only 1:24 seconds, but at the beginning, it's making the analogy that you can't trick somebody into watching a horror movie by them not saying no. And they're making that analogy to sexual consent as well. But I can see how it could be confusing. And we can certainly recommend to teachers that they skip that part and just watch the pertinent section that's more explicit about sexual consent. Or if the board chooses, you can, of course, ultimately decide to not include that in the material. So it's a larger packet, as you know, of information with a video embedded in it.
I would recommend we keep it. I also watched the video, and I guess I got the analogy, and it was kind of a lead in to the important part of it. And it wasn't really, I didn't really get confused by it because I guess I caught the analogy is what they're trying to do. So I'd recommend that we'd keep it.
You know, sorry, my feeling's kind of the same, or it is the same. I think you keep it, but I think to Trustee Clapham's point, you know, the teacher teaching and just kind of giving them a little, you know, heads up, hey, here's what you're going to watch. And since we know it's confusing, you know, maybe just point it out, or, you know, at the beginning, they're just trying to draw an analogy to bring it home. And I think sometimes, you know, that's helpful for folks.
Thank you for pointing out the fact that it is taught by teachers, and so we would hope that there would be discussion around it as well. Sometimes when you're looking at these resources in isolation, we don't envision then what it necessarily happens in the classroom with the teacher clarifying. And then may I speak to your first point, which about the ages? Absolutely. Sometimes the committee chooses to recommend the video for a broad range, and there's discussion around what's developmentally appropriate. And we know that teachers who spend all day, every day with students can make that assessment. Nobody's required to use any of the resources that we offer if they don't believe it's developmentally appropriate. And I would like to also point out that parents can choose to opt out of the entire program or even parts of the program. So anybody who is interested in knowing the resources, our recommendation is that the parents or families first reach out to the teacher, because as I stated, we offer resources and teachers pick from that depending on what fits with their class and other materials that they already have. And so it's better that they go to the teacher first, and the teacher says, these are the materials that have been approved that I have chosen to use. If they're, for whatever reason, not able to get information from the teacher, they can always contact me at the district office.
Just to clarify, you said parents can opt out, but it's still an opt-in for any of these classes. And then I guess what you're explaining is if they've opted in, they can also, from that opting in say, I'm opting out of this part of that class. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, thank you for clarifying. It is opt-in. Families have to sign a permission slip. Otherwise, the student does not participate in the curriculum. We have an alternative curriculum for those students that is not related to family life standards. And yes, parents can choose to opt out of certain parts of the curriculum.
Just one other comment I wanted to make, because I did watch most of these too, and I just wanted to thank the committee for their time and effort and the work that they're doing. I think this is a good NRS that they've put together these different viewpoints on the committee to help review these materials and make recommendations to us. So I appreciate their time and effort.
Thank you. We appreciate them as well. And what you don't know is the fact that there were multiple resources that they opted to not recommend. So they reviewed a lot of material the last 4 months.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Rich?
I would just like to say, I reviewed all the material you provided, and thank you for providing that so far in advance. It gave us time to go through it. And I really had no problem with the material. I know sometime in the past, I've had a few problems with the material being presented, but I think the committee did a good job selecting the material this time. And thank you guys for the work you do.
Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate it. We know you have to come to the board for approval on this stuff, but I think we really do. I could speak for the board that we appreciate, hearing what's being introduced and what's available for our teachers to use and for the public's sake, because we all know in years past we've had some concerns, but I think it's important to again mention that all of these are opt-in, so you're not going to, your student's not going to show up and go, surprise, we're doing this today. They're going to, you have to actively allow your child to participate. So anyway, I think these are great resources. So thank you for that. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. This is an action item. Laurel?
I move that the Carson City School District Board of Trustees approve the material reviewed by the Family Life Advisory Committee during the 2023-2024 school year, which will be included in the Family Life curriculum for the Carson City School District.
I'll second it.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any further board discussion? Seeing none, do we have any public comment on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next is item 8. Discussion and proposed changes to CCSD Policy 301, Equal Opportunity in Employment and Education, which includes renumbering the policy to 1001 in Section 1000, all staff. This is a first reading and it's for discussion only. And we have Dan Sadler presenting. And I think you're all going to get used to Mr. Sadler by the end of this evening.
We'll be done by midnight. That's the goal. No, I'm kidding. And before I share kind of some thoughts here, I just want to give everybody a brief overview. When I was hired in this position, one of the first things that I did was start looking at policies specific to human resources that I had not been familiar with as a middle school principal. And in that review, I kind of just kept tabs on things that seemed a little bit off, and some things that I wanted to learn more about. 1979 was a banner year for the Carson City School District as far as policy and regulation. I'm thinking that may be historically the first year that we had record of policy and regs in the current format that we do now. So as you might imagine, with so many, there's changes, as you're well aware, over the years. There's just some that really need to be brought up to speed. And so with that, I will start. Well, I should also state that when I did that review, I worked with Mr. Russell and his associates and really just kind of got a better overview of all of our policy and regs and where they are in relation to current statute and any federal policies. Mr. Russell was instrumental in helping me with that process. And I've continued to work on these with Pool Pact. We just started a phase 1 assessment with Pool Pact, similar to what Ann Sear has done with Pool Pact and the safety services and risk management. Really just combing through the policies that we have to make sure that based on their recommendations, we're compliant with state and federal law. So I will start with policy, what is currently policy 301, the recommendation making this a 1001. And these references, just so you're aware, I'm sure you already are, if it's a 300 section policy or regulation, currently that represents certified staff. The 1000 section is a newer section for policy and reg, and that would be something that applies to all staff. So the policy currently exists as 301, representing certified staff. Recommendations here, obviously updating that to 1001 as this policy covers all employees of the district, not just certified. And you'll kind of see that throughout some other items tonight. But again, really just our goal is if we have something that represents all employees, let's don't have a separate policy and reg for different categories of employees. So specific to this one, equal opportunity employment and education, you can see what we had there previously and the suggestions that I've made. A lot of the suggestions are changing anytime there's a reference to Carson City School District after the first time, referring to that as just the district. That's something that's consistent in our policy and reg updates as we go through this process. And really, equal opportunity employment and education. As a district, we aim to hire the most qualified candidates for positions, regardless of various personal characteristics or statuses, adhering to both the federal and state laws. And so this update really puts us in compliance with what those laws represent currently. You'll also see some language, including any classes that would become protected in the future by federal and or state law, which may prevent the need to create updates if there was additional classes added.
And then maybe even as things are added, each year we reaffirm the policies and regulations or whatever, so we could make changes to stay up on top of it.
Correct. And I appreciate you bringing that up because one thing we have not done historically is when we review a policy to document that in our policies and regs so that we're aware that policy from 1979 might really be a great policy and still stand. But if we haven't recorded the last time we reviewed that, then we might not know. So that's a good point. Yes, questions?
I just have a question because you were saying it would be renumbered in the top right, 1001, and it would be all staff. Should you change certified staff?
Correct, yeah.
To all staff?
Thank you. Yes, I did catch that. And that will be, with this being a first read, would be something that we would edit. Thank you.
Yeah, I just had a minor thing in the second paragraph, third sentence down, where it says leave, transfer, Should there be a comma in between leave and transfer like the others?
I'm sorry, Mr. Varner, can you tell me again where you saw that?
It's in the second paragraph and the third sentence down where you're talking about the leave and transfer. It kind of runs together. Should there be a comma between leave and transfer? Just a minor thing.
No, so,
No?
so leave transfer would be the actual, process if somebody transfers leave from one district
Oh,
to
okay,
another.
so it's not two separate things?
Correct.
Like leave, okay, I took it to be leave and transfer. And then I'm just curious to, veteran status. Oh, what part does that play?
So, so that is the recommendation, from Pool Pact, is to ensure that we're covering all of the, protected classes to include any veteran status
Or-
as a protected class.
Okay, I didn't know they were a protected class, but, okay, thank you.
And I just noticed that because you've got it in the first paragraph and the second paragraph. If it's veteran or veterans possessive, just make it consistent with whichever one it is.
I agree. Which would you recommend on that? Veteran status, I would assume.
I would think not veteran status. What does Pool Pack use? Would be where I would look to what it's officially, but
I will go back to that reference and clean that up.
For what it's worth, I'd go with veteran, not possessive or plural.
Agreed, yeah. But yeah, to Trustee Crossman's point, consistency, that's kind of what caught my eye.
Yep, thank you.
Right, any board questions on this or more comments? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Dan. We'll move on to item 9. Discussion and proposal to eliminate CCSD policy 301.1 affirmative action plan due to proposed inclusion of renumbered policy 301, equal opportunity in employment and education. This is again a first reading for discussion only.
Thank you. So policy 301, if we move forward with that update as recommended, it would be very important to eliminate a couple of policies and regulations, starting with 301.1. With the updates and assumed approval of policy 301, the affirmative action plan becomes obsolete for the district. It's really outdated language, represents much less than equal opportunity employer does. And so the suggestion would be to strike this policy.
Any board discussion or comments on that? Legally, we're fine with that, I assume?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay, thank you. We will move on to item 10. Discussion on proposal to eliminate CCSD policy 401, employment philosophy due to proposed inclusion of renumbered policy 301, equal opportunity in employment and education. This is a first reading for discussion only.
Thank you, President Casiopo. Similarly, policy 401, which is specific to classified staff, is embedded into the policy 301, covering all employees with the new language. We have equal opportunities for all employees within those requirements of state and federal law in moving forward with policy 301. As you see what's listed here, the employment philosophy, what was previously listed had some ideals from the district, and then the process for classified employees being selected, retained, and promoted, which again is now embedded into 301. I realize that's not been approved yet. And then a reference to the affirmative action plan, which again, the recommendation would be that that is now dissolved.
Any board questions or comments? Okay, Mike?
I like we're cleaning things up. There's some redundancy and, as a principal in a school, you want to be able to find those policies easily because usually you're in the middle of something you're trying to solve, so.
Yeah,
appreciate you doing
absolutely.
that.
Yeah. Well, I think what's happened in the past sometimes too is if you do a search of board policy and you see that there's 5 policies that have that term in there, and then you go see how does this apply to certified or classified or anybody else? And if it's different, especially, we truly do have equal opportunity for our employees, and that carries no matter what your class is as an employee.
All right, thanks. And Dan, we're going to move on to the next one. And I was just informed, I don't have to read all these since they're all for discussion only. So I think I'm just going to let you run with it.
Okay.
And then just kind of, we'll just note that, okay, now we're doing 11, now we're doing 12.
Okay.
So we'll start with 11.
And I don't have that list right in front of me. Let me get that one up so I stay
That's
on.
okay. I can prompt those.
You can keep me on task. Okay. So policy 401.1 is the next one that I have. This one is identical to policy 301.1. Obviously, one representing classified, one representing certified, specific to affirmative action plan. This one being for classified staff. Again, the recommendation of 301 moving forward would be to dissolve the affirmative action plan in favor of the equal opportunity employment for all employees.
Molly, go ahead.
So I see that, yes, we're cleaning it up, but on the bottom of 401.1, it talks about the enforcement of regulations, reporting procedures, plan of evaluation for the effectiveness of the program. But in the proposed 1001, it doesn't discuss anything about evaluations.
Yeah, so I think the reference here is to the evaluation of an affirmative action program, if that were active. It is not currently. Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next one. We're good with that? Yep. Okay, so this one is a regulation specific to classified staff. You'll notice that it's eerily similar to the policy itself, with the exception of the first paragraph referencing that 401.1 was a policy and that this one is a regulation, but the language is identical beyond that for the reference to affirmative action plans. So the suggestion would be to dissolve this regulation 401.1 with the approval of policy 301 moving forward. That this becomes obsolete for the district.
Okay, thank you. Board, questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. Number 12.
This being a regulation, is this something that is an action item tonight, or is that?
This one, 12 is still discussion. Yeah, discussion only. Right.
Just
yeah,
discussion.
we don't, the board doesn't approve
We're
regulations.
just discussing. All right. That's what thank you. I got confused because it's 2 times for a policy, but the regulation is just a reading.
Now, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. We just finished 12. We're on 13. And 13, though, is it's a first reading for discussion only.
All right. Making sure I'm on the right number myself. Thank you. Okay, so we're looking at policy 314. Thank you, Mr. Winward. This policy update is specific to certified staff evaluations. As I believe you're all aware, that is currently in NRS, guiding the NEPF for certified evaluations. So the suggested updates here recognize the certified evaluation program that is currently required by state law. The additions that you see here include language that is supported by NRS 391.650 through NRS 391.730. The deletions that you see as being removed are references to some philosophies and requirements that the district previously had embedded into the policy over the years. Previous to the NEPF evaluation being established through NRS, as an example, we had the Danielson model as an evaluation tool, and totally different look to it and process, which was not guided by NRS at the time. So now that we've been under NRS for multiple years now, I think this is one that is really important to make sure that the policy reflects what is in the state law as far as what the requirements are for the evaluation process. And I'm happy to highlight any part of that if you want me to cover it.
Same thing, board. Any questions or comments?
Yes.
Molly?
really
Yeah,
quick.
go ahead.
So, maybe I'm looking at the wrong one and it's not updated online. But, so NRS 391.730 states that it is a 3-year probationary period?
Correct. First year probationary, second year probationary, third year probationary.
Okay, because I just see a 2-year. But I'm looking to see maybe it was wrong. Okay.
Okay, we good?
I just clarify on that, during these probationary periods, are they basically, for lack of a better term, an at-will employee where they can be terminated without cause, or do they have to have cause?
No, they're protected by the same agreement as all certified employees. But it is a one year, there are 3 1-year periods as far as their probationary status. So it could be that a first year or second year or third year probationary educator is not recommended for a post-probationary status. But the tools that would need to be used in the conversations are all guided through NRS if that is the case. So it is not the same as like an at-will employee by any means.
Trustee Walt, were you still, I want to make sure you were okay with
Well,
that?
you know, where my concern is, and I think it would have, is like at our last meeting when Tasha Fusion was here and I'm researching online NRS, and like she said, the legislative website hasn't, possibly hasn't updated. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at, the legislative website and it doesn't say 3 years. So I think what would be nice is in our packets, if we actually had statute, where do you see that it does say 3 years? Where did you find it?
So I don't have it in front of me, but the reference for the regulations that are cited for NEPF and the evaluation system start with 391.650 and go through 391.730.
But where did you find that? Because I'm looking at the legislative website right now and I'm not finding it. And like Tasha said, that it may not have been updated,
So yeah, I understand that. And so there's 2 places as far as the references go. And I mean, literally, I go to the Nevada Revised Statutes and look at that language. Also look at the, I shouldn't say requirements, the guidance from Pool Pact, because what they have are the model policies that they utilize with other school districts as a reference for HR. And then the NEPF guidance document itself also has the references from NRS. So if you were to Google NEPF Nevada, you can pull up the guiding documents for NEPF. That's all born out of NRS. One of the recommendations, actually, when I met with Mr. Russell summer before last and started this process, was as a suggestion, not putting the specific NRS as a reference in the policy, because when those change, it confuses everything as well. And so to say whatever the current NRS is, as opposed to citing the specific NRS, is one of the suggestions that certainly I think we could consider as well. But I can assure you it's a 3-year probationary period.
No, I'm not questioning that. But it is your assurance, your trust, and whatever else. I just would like it in front of me, if that makes sense. So if there's a possibility, can we get that when it comes for adoption?
So when there's a
next
policy
meeting?
or a regulation that cites an NRS, to actually have a copy of that
Yeah.
NRS with that.
But if you can bring it to us and put it in the packet when we go to adopt that, that would be great as well. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, any other board questions or comments on this?
Just Molly, in case you're interested, I did find it's NRS 391685 that talks about the 3 years of probation. I didn't get up there yet. I just looked for the one in there that dealt with probationary periods, and I did see it in that one. So it goes from 650 through 730. So, okay. I didn't get that far yet, but I did see it in there. So,
Okay, let's move on to item 14.
Okay, so similar to policy 314, regulation 314 updates are specific to certified staff evaluations. These changes that are in front of you, again, recognize the details of the certified evaluation program that is required by state law and NRS. The reference points, interestingly enough, for this one, with the language that was pulled for this policy, are 391.650 through 391.826. Fully realizing you don't have that in front of you, I'm happy to bring that back if so that you do have a copy. The suggested additions are specific to language that is referenced in those sections of Nevada revised statutes. The deletions, similar to the policy, essentially remove some of the philosophies of the district with the previous evaluation tool that had been embedded into the policy over the years, and that did not get updated when NEPF became law. Of note, the dates of the evaluation cycles are predetermined through NRS and NEPF guidelines. However, I'm suggesting that we keep May 1st as the date for all evaluations to officially be submitted to Human Resources, as that's been long established by the district. So you will see that within the NEPF, there are certain deadlines that need to be met as far as when a teacher's first evaluation cycle needs to be completed, 30, 60, 90 days. All of that information is guided through NRS, but to have that completed and submitted by May 1st as a deadline coincides with when we do letters of intent and contract offers moving forward. So again, anything that you see that's in that bold print, that would be something that we've added, and then certainly you can see the strike-throughs for things that no longer apply. There's a lot of information here, so I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have on this section as well.
Hey, Dan, just real quick, the very last word in the first paragraph, ineffective. I think there's a spelling error. It's got 2 N's and 1 F. I think it's 1 N and 2 F's. It's the last one. It says highly effective, effective, developing,
Thank you.
or ineffective.
I'm actually looking at my notes page and not the one you have in front of you, but I will go back and review this
Yeah,
video
just-
and make that correction. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
I have a question. The pages aren't numbered, but it's page 2 and page 4 when it talks about reemployment of probationary teachers and reemployment of post-probationary teachers. Those paragraphs mentioned the board shall notify each probationary employee repeatedly, and that is different than the policy where it talks about, that we just reviewed, where it talks about the post-probationary status, section 3, receives notice of reemployment from the school district. So I'm thinking.
Yeah, it should be the board.
It should be the board, or should it be the school district? Because I don't think.
It's the
We
board.
don't.
Currently, that's how we're set up, is so when we do the letters of intent, that's actually from the school board.
Have you guys ever seen those?
Who signs those for the school board is the president? Because, you know, I've been on the board for 5 years and some.
I've never.
Mr. Winward, do you want to
We've
chime in
never
here
done
with
that.
last year's letters of intent?
Because that was my question too about the board.
Clerk and president, according to Mr. Winward, an electronic signature from the board is how that was completed last year.
Okay, when I was board president or clerk, I never saw those, I don't think.
I mean, it's fine if it's our designee that makes that, and I didn't realize that we did that either. I don't remember doing that. So, whatever whatever process is in place. I didn't realize that was a board. Mike, you might know better.
Well, I think it's just, we're the trustees, but they're the ones who manage the employees. We manage the superintendent, but it is common practice that it's the school board that is on those contracts when you accept them.
So is that something that I guess the confusion is, has that been coming to the board? And I guess the question is, should that be coming to the board if the president and the clerk are signing those? And maybe that's a question.
As far as coming from the board, you mean as far as the letters of intent and contracts? That is my understanding, yes.
Okay. So
It's not like we could just not accept somebody's contract. There's a whole process for that. So I think we're getting kind of in the weeds, but.
And even tonight on your consent agenda, you have approval of offers of employment of certified staff, notice of non-hires, and notice of termination. So it's on your consent agenda.
So it's on, okay, so that's probably where the confusion is. It's been on the consent agenda, and that's why we're scratching our heads. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we're not missing a step, and it's, not that we're going to review it and say yes or no.
Absolutely.
But just so that we know what's happening.
Yeah, no, that's what we're here to do, is to read through this and see what questions we have. And I think what Mr. Walker said, like, it's not necessarily something you're going to do. It's certainly we do that on your behalf, but you have the ultimate authority as a board to make those approvals, consent agenda item. I also know that, like, if there were some reason that we needed to delay that process, that you have that in this regulation as well to be able to delay that if we weren't able to do the May 1st deadline, and that's spelled out here as well.
I have one little thing also. I think in that paragraph there, that's the first time the board has been mentioned. Should that be Board of Trustees, just to clarify that, instead of just the board? Because I don't know if it's mentioned anywhere else above.
That's a good point. Okay. So as the first reference to the board in that paragraph, it would say the Carson City School Board, and then in parentheses, board, so that we could refer to board moving forward.
Yeah, double check how the other ones were. I forget if it was Carson City School District Board of Trustees, but, and then board, yeah.
It's at the heading of the policy is how we've been doing it. We're trying
Gotcha.
to be consistent.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Got our money's worth out of that one. Let's go to 15.
We good to move on? Yeah,
Please.
okay. Policy 344, this is one that currently reads as a certified staff policy. Updating this policy with the suggested changes provide that all eligible district employees are covered by the Family and Medical Leave Act, known as FMLA. This policy would be renumbered as policy 1005. I believe that would also need to be corrected, as was consistent with your comment earlier, Trustee Crossman, so that it represents all staff, not only in the number, but also in the title.
Any board questions or comments on 15? Seeing none, we'll move on to 16.
Thank you. Regulation 344 similarly reads as a certified staff regulation, but it applies to all employees. So updating this to 1005 as a regulation, again, applying to all staff with that special note to make that edit. FMLA is something that the current policy and regulation don't really do it justice as far as trying to understand what it is, because it's not accurately represented given the federal FMLA guidelines. So there's a lot of new information here. It's important to note that this information is pulled directly from FMLA and not something that we've interpreted. FMLA leaves a lot of questions often because people will make assumptions. Well, I work for a school district, therefore I qualify for FMLA. And very specifically, there's a process to qualify. And then if you do qualify, it is an unpaid leave, but depending on your circumstances or why you're qualifying, you're able to use different types of leave to cover that as paid or unpaid. So the attempt here is to get all of that information from the FMLA into our policy that covers all staff. And certainly, when we have somebody who's in a situation that requires FMLA, we have a team of professionals in human resources that are really diving deeper into this as we have this conversation here tonight, to really make sure that we're all well-versed on this and be able to understand it to support any employee who has a question, up to and even including being more proactive as a district to respond to the needs of our employees. There's a lot of information here, so I don't know how familiar you are with what the current policy and regulation read, or if you're how familiar you are with FMLA at the federal level, but this pretty well covers everything that we need to have in an updated regulation, including some items that were not previously there. Exigency leave, which is another way that you can qualify for leave. There's some special rules for instructional employees. If you want to read some really interesting case law about flight attendants and FMLA and how that ended up impacting schools, I will be happy to share some articles with you. Taking leave near the end of an academic term has some special circumstances. One thing to point out that gets a lot of questions often as far as utilizing sick leave while on FMLA is only approved if the circumstances of the leave meet the usual requirements for the use of sick leave. That's not something that we've decided. Again, this is following the federal guidance. And one thing that gets confusing in there often is that sick leave cannot be used specifically for child rearing. You can qualify for FMLA for child rearing, but if you're taking sick leave, it depends on your individual circumstances. So things can often get confusing. Military caregiver leave is one that was not previously included that now is included. I believe the previous regulation was updated in 1994, which is right after the FMLA was adopted in 1993. So I don't have the full history on how many of these are new additions to FMLA since 1994, but I can assure you again that this is reflective of the current guidance through both POOLPACT and the current FMLA laws.
Just a couple, I more for proofing purposes, just to give you an update. Again, this one would be all staff on the title, and then the paragraph where it talks about eligibility, I would add a 1 with a parenthesis under each of the things that need to qualify, and then a 2. So the employees are eligible under the Family and Medical Leave Act if they, 1, have been employed by the district for at least for a total of 12 months, and 2, have worked for the district total. Just because to me, that makes it more clear that they have to meet both of those if you've got them numbered. And then on page 2, I think there's a typo on the 4th bullet point down, which is due to a serious health condition that prevents the employee from performing the functions of his position with, I think it should be with or without,
yes.
rather than are.
Correct, thank you.
Okay, and then my other part that I noticed was on page 7, down at the bottom, and when we're talking about the employee will be reemployed in the same or an equivalent position as that which they occupied when the leave commenced. I think even though it's talking about a singular employee, I think they is gender neutral and less cumbersome than he or she. But in the next 2 sentences, we say his own health and he is able to return. So I'm thinking if we're going to go gender neutral, do it all the way through for consistency. Those are
Thank
my
you.
points.
Yep.
If I could also, and maybe I'm reading this wrong, but on page 2, when we're talking about exigency leave, then the first bullet point, short-term notice deployment in SEVER, should that be service, or is it 7, or?
I think it's 7.
It's 7.
It should be 7.
employment in 7 or less calendar days. Okay.
Thank you. I clearly did not use ChatGPT, so.
Well, Laurel usually catches everything.
No, I did not.
We tend to rely on Chat L. Crossman.
Yeah, she's good.
She is good. Okay, any other board comments or questions?
No, just thank you for all the work on this. I know that it's a lot of work you put into it and a lot of things you had to go through and research you had to do. So, and if they haven't been updated since 1997 or 4 or whatever it was.
79.
79.
Most of them, yeah.
It's probably time.
Yeah, it
Thank you
is.
for the work.
Yeah, there's going to be some more coming. We'll have some more policy and reg adventures here as we move through the process. Actually, I do want to thank Pool Pack for their guidance too. They do this a lot with school districts and they were very instrumental in helping us identify priority policies and regs in HR and the suggestions to, as an example, move it from a 300 or 400 to a 1,000. Like, that's been very helpful. So thank you very much.
Good. Thank you. Appreciate it. We're going to move on to item 17. Presentation and discussion of budget assumptions for the Carson City School District for fiscal year 2024, 2025. This is for discussion only, and we have Spencer Winward presenting.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the board. I may or may not be the same age as those policies, and you guys can decide after this if I need updating or not.
Were you actually born after 1979?
I was not born after 1979.
Okay, good.
All right, so as you recall, we talked about assumptions 2 weeks ago at the meeting, and we're essentially going to pick up where we left off. So as you may recall, we had about a 1.1 million deficit is kind of where we were sitting, and we had a few items that would change that. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, just kind of pick up where we left off. So this was the last slide from last meeting's presentation. Shows what our revenues and expenditures were and about a $1 million deficit. And that last bulleted item, adjustments that were not in that deficit, is ESSER positions being moved and absorbed into the general fund, staff turnover, our retirees, and being replaced by different employees, and non-staffing costs. So if we look at those items, these would have some considerations to get the expenditures that we'll have next year. Those ESSER positions, last meeting reported 10.15 FTEs. We've got that narrowed down to 9.75 now, still need a home. And I'll talk about those a little bit on the next slide in a little more detail, so we'll kind of gloss over that one for now. Our staff turnover, thanks to our early notification, we know that we have 27 individuals retiring, and it's very, very beneficial information for us to have. There will likely be more, but it's good to know 15 of those are certified, 12 are classified. That helps us in budgeting to have that information, and also in filling those positions and getting the best candidates for those vacancies that we'll have. So that will have, I'll show what that effect that has on our bottom line of the budget. And the next item would be a reduction of some positions. As you've seen from our enrollment, our younger classes are significantly smaller than our secondary level classes. And due to that, we don't need to have as many teachers as we have on staff. And so we're going to be reducing 4 of those positions. 2 would currently have a long-term substitute in them. And by doing that, we'll still maintain our average class size ratios across the district. And we aren't using a reduction in force with those positions. It'll just naturally happen by attrition.
With the positions to be relocated, 9.75, why doesn't that just say 10? I mean, where's the 0.25 gonna go?
Well, we have one person that only performs at about 75% of, no, just kidding. Some of those positions are split funded, partially in general fund or ESSERS or another fund and general fund. That's why it's not an even number of full-time equivalencies. As we look at that, I think you'll probably see where we've got 2 partial FTEs. And then the final thing that I guess it's in this expense considerations, but really it's affects our revenue. Interest rates these days are a little bit better than they have been in all of my years of working in school district finance. And we're enjoying a positive interest rate environment, and that brings a little bit more for us. They'll be well over the 10,000 amount that we budgeted. That's kind of been the traditional budgeted amount. We typically go pretty low, and on a good year, you might get 60 or 70,000. In the old environment where we're sitting now, you'll see those will be much higher. So to kind of look at those ESSER positions, sorry, let me go back. Any questions before I continue? All righty. So these are the ESSER positions and their estimated salary and benefits cost that we'd be moving to the general fund. So we've got one admin assistant there, 4 distant ed assistants, and then some TOSAs. You can see some of those TOSAs are only partially funded by ESSERs, and other funds pick up the rest of those, and that's how we end up with the 0.75 instead of a round number for full-time equivalencies. So all told, it's about $900,000 that we'd be moving to the general fund, and that wasn't included in the 1.1 million deficit that we were showing at budget considerations 2 weeks ago. So all of those assumptions we've talked about, this kind of shows the effect that they have on our budget. And the column of numbers on the very right-hand side would be a running total of what our budget deficit looks like as we have those items. So non-salary expenses, we kind of briefly talked about those last week. That's mostly going to be our insurance premiums are looking at about $100,000 increase. And collectively, we've included $200,000 that we're anticipating in higher utility and energy costs. And that's what that does. That takes us to 1.4 million. Those ESSER positions moving to general fund is another 900,000 that brings our deficit to 2.3 million. Good thing is that's where it stops getting larger, and the next 3 items will bring that back closer to where we want to see it. So our retirees, and again, this is an estimate. We take those people that are topped out, they're making the most money an employee here can for the most part, and we replace them with kind of an average age, a plug figure for where we think that person will come in at. Some come in higher, some lower. That's where we use that average. Those savings alone will be about $500,000, bring our deficit from 2.3 to 1.8 million. The 4 positions I discussed that we'd be removing teaching positions from elementary schools. That's about $350,000 savings, brings us to about 1.45 million. And then as a conservative estimate, we'd be budgeting for an additional $500,000 of revenue from interest earnings. And that'll bring that deficit to just below 1 million. And with all those things in, I think as the budget really starts to take shape, and you'll have that in front of you in the next month's time, we'll be looking at probably a deficit just slightly below $1 million. Any questions?
Molly, go ahead.
And this is probably just maybe because last year was my first budget cycle, so this would be my second. So my question would be, does the school district ever reach for a 0 deficit, like anticipation? I mean, like, what would it look like if we actually tried to bring it to 0?
We could. I mean, really, the easiest thing to do that would be look and see, are there any positions that we feel are not necessary for our mission of educating children? And we could bring that in. We run a really pretty lean operation, especially at, our TOSAs and those things. We don't have a lot of that already to start with. And so to reduce some of those simply for the fact of getting to a $0 budget would likely, be detrimental to what we're trying to do. We would always kind of do that. Well, 2 things. Yes, that would be great, and it would look nice on paper. Say, look, we have a $0 deficit, or the opposite. Hey, we think we'll save $1 million. Then people will be looking at us. Well, why are you trying to save money? You're trying to educate kids. So we would never really try and have a positive budget, a non-deficit. To try and balance it would be great, but also the second thing that this budget does is this kind of says this is the max of what we anticipate spending. If we're going to spend more than this, then we would go through all of the necessary steps to have a budget hearing. We'd have to publish it properly. We'd have to have it in the newspaper a certain number of days. and have to bring the board together again to increase our budget authority. So if we kind of build this as what we think our worst case scenario is, then we don't need to come back and go through that process. It's a little bit tedious, once or maybe twice throughout the year. Occasionally we need to, just because of things change throughout the year. But we want to kind of build this budget as kind of this is what we think our worst case scenario is. And if that all happens, we think we'd be $1 million in the hole. The last couple of years we have budgeted as a deficit, but have come out with some savings, largely due to vacancy savings. We do know as we filled positions that buffer that's built in there has been diminishing.
If I could trust you, Walt.
Yeah.
Sorry, just I think it's really important. So one difference in the way that that Spencer, I think, looks at budget is it's budgeting for 100% of the cost of every position. Like we're expecting every position to be filled. And that's a slight change from how I used to kind of assume a little bit of savings for vacancies, and that isn't the process that Spencer uses. So when he's talking about kind of a worst case scenario, it's really kind of a best case scenario, right? You're fully staffed. But the idea, like you said, being this is like we can't go over that amount. We know we're going to come in under that amount. And so that's historically we've come in well under each year going through this process. So just a little history and a little for the budgeting process.
So do we always attribute the deficit to positions? Because I mean that all, what we're hearing is if we have 27 retired, everything here is positions. It's manpower. I mean, does the school district always attribute deficit to that, or is there any room for other ways
I think it's just a
that
high
we could?
percentage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I realize that there's a lot of positions listed here, and I don't know if saying attributing it to positions is exactly what it is, but we are 85 to 90% staffing costs, right? And so that's just structurally, that's just a lot of what we do. So it has a big impact.
And a lot of other expenses are fixed. I mean, you have to pay electrical, gasoline, maintenance on vehicles, et cetera, et cetera. So those costs are hard to cut.
Good.
You're welcome. Trustee Varney, you got a question?
No, just that comment.
And just another comment, I think when we have a budget that is best case scenario, this is how much it would cost if we could fill all of our positions. That also lets the legislators know that this is how much it would cost, right?
Well, and I would just add, for Trustee Walt's benefit, if I may, you're right to ask that question. I think we ask it every year. The 12 years I've been on the board, we ask it time and time again, what's it take to get to a balanced budget? And for these reasons, and it's worked out well for us. We budget for however you want to term it, best or worst case scenario, knowing that we're going to come in lower. And, fortunately it's worked out. But I think we all feel like, a balanced budget seems to make sense. That's what we should be always shooting for. But in the world of finances for school districts, it doesn't seem to be the best case because, like you said, it can be cumbersome. And so what I look at is, what's our, where are we at? Are we coming in below that? Are we in better shape? Is our ending fund balance remaining healthy? Those kinds of things. So, I mean, so far, I think what we've been doing under your as you as CFO and now as you is you might have different approaches, but you're kind of looking at it the same way, and it's worked for us. And I don't know how other districts do it, but I assume, since you came from another district, that this isn't an uncommon practice.
I would say no.
I would say very much no. And I think it's important to, and Trustee Cassiopo mentioned the fund balance, right? So we are financially in a strong position right now if we're getting looked at by ratings agencies and things like that. If we were in a much worse position financially, like say, if your fund balance drops down to 4%, the state will take you over, right, or below 4%. So if you were at that point, if we were budgeting for a balanced budget, that would effectively be telling you that we are going to be adding to fund balance next year. Because if it's balanced, we know our expenses are going to come in lower than what we're projecting. So we will be adding to our reserves. And that's just not where we are right now in terms of need. We don't need to add to fund balance for any specific reason at this point.
Alrighty, if there's no other questions, just last week we left with about a $1.1 million deficit. Having worked those ESSER positions into there, we're slightly decreased, about 950,000 is what we're projecting as the preliminary budget comes together for consideration. And if you do have questions, I'm still happy to answer them.
What's our funding balance, I guess, ending fund balance? I mean, not for the budget, but reserves, I guess.
I'm sorry, what is it?
Yeah, is
City
it
net?
like $14 million still or
16.
16?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it's we came through kind of this ESSER as about as healthy as we could be without the state looking and saying, "Oh, you guys are too healthy. We're gonna, yeah, yeah. You've been too wise with your money." Well, I think you need to point that towards Mr. Fueling over there. So,
Well, if you look at that $0.6 million deficit reduction, at this rate, every 2 weeks we keep dropping, we're going to be all right.
I can't guarantee rates that much. Although I do have a couple board members who said
I say that in jest.
if we get it to $10, they have graciously offered to kick in to get us to a balanced budget. So
We'd gladly do that. Now, the ESSER positions have been all incorporated in now, right?
yes, that $950,000 deficit includes the general fund covering
Yeah,
those.
so we won't have any more ESSER positions. Okay,
No.
thank you.
And we'll continue to look and see if there's other funding ways. We're going to continue to try and see, is there anything we can do to whittle that down? I feel pretty comfortable about where it is now and where we've sat the last couple of years. But we'll continue to look and see how we can be the most prudent with our funding.
Okay, well, thank you. No other questions for Mr. Winward? Thank you very much. We're going to move on to item 18, approval of the consent agenda. This is for possible action. We have a motion. Do we have a second? Motion by trustee Walker, second by trustee Crossman. Any board discussion?
Since Loretta's in the room, should we say congratulations? And so thanks for your service.
Okay, no further board discussion. Do we have any public comment on this agenda item? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 19, informational items for discussion only. No action will be taken. Does the board have any questions on the informational items? Trustee Walt? Sorry. You're good? How about item 20, request for future agenda topics? Seeing none? Going. Item 21 is adjournment. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.